Hey, my name is Brad, and today I'm gonna give you the best settings for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So you probably want to jump into a match as fast as possible, so I'm not gonna waste any time, and let's get right into it. I'm gonna start with the graphics settings because I'm on PC, but if you're on console, please keep watching because I'm gonna go through them real quick. So if you have a monitor with a high refresh rate, be sure to select 144Hz. And also if you're using an Nvidia graphics card, be sure to actually select 144Hz in the Nvidia control panel. You can do this by clicking Customize, Create Custom Resolution, and then putting the refresh rate to 144Hz. I would skip VSync because this can sometimes add a little bit of lag into your gameplay. And definitely in Call of Duty you want to be as quick as you can. And that's why we also have the Nvidia Reflex low latency to boost it. Render resolution, I have it on 100, but if you have a higher resolution you can play around with this. I would put my field of view to around 100 or 110. Higher than this and lower than this is really bad. I heard some other people say that 105 is the sweet spot, but somewhere between 100 and 110 is great. Be sure to have ADS field of view on affected because this will make it easier to see where your enemies are when you're aimed in. Frame limit to unlimited. This is also important. You want to have the most frames possible. Then texture and model quality. This is something you have to play around with for yourself because every PC is different. I played around with it a little bit and I can run high. I would definitely have object view distance on high too. This makes it easier to see some enemies and props in the world. I don't really care about the reflections, but you can also put this on high if you want. Having your shadows on high makes the game look more realistic, and having them on low gets you extra FPS. So if you want to have the highest FPS possible, be sure to have everything on low. You can copy these settings from me and play around with it yourself. This is something you have to figure out yourself really. If you have an RTX card, you can enable ray tracing. I personally don't, so I'm gonna have this disabled. And then an important one, anti-aliasing. I will put this on ultra. This makes your game look a lot better. This just makes it that every edge of every model is smooth. And as you can see on the preview, this makes the game look a lot better. Ambient occlusion, I've done medium, but you can also play around with it yourself. Just makes the game look a little bit more realistic with shadows. But I don't really care about realism. Also a really important one, be sure to disable motion blur. This makes it easier to spot enemies. You could also enable subsurface scouting, but I just want a little bit of extra FPS, so I leave this disabled. You can also enable transparency. This makes the game look a little bit more realistic. And then I would set my VRAM usage to high. And that's it for the graphics. Let's move on to audio. I personally like to have my music a little bit lower. That makes it easier to hit enemies. And then another important one, your audio preset, I would put this on high boost. This makes it a lot easier to hear footsteps. I personally have voice chat disabled. This makes the game a lot more relaxed for me to play, but this is something you can set up yourself if you use the in-game chat feature. And this is also something really important, the interface. This is what you see on your screen, so let's play around with this a little bit. I have interaction movie on skip. That just boots up Cold War instantly. Crosshair on shown, of course. Hit marker visuals is also really important. If you disable this, you can see your hit markers. Ally health bars is a really nice feature. This shows how damaged the enemy is. I have player names on icon only. This is just a personal preference, but maybe if you have the name enabled, this makes it a little bit easier to spot people. If you don't really look at the compass, you can disable it. I personally like to have the compass disabled, but I'm just trying it out a little bit. You can also enable some telemetry features. I personally like to have my FPS counter shown and some in-game alerts. For example, if I'm lagging or my internet is doing some weird stuff, I can see this on my screen with some alerts. This is also a really useful one. This is disabled by default. And if you want to know what type of people you are playing against, this is an important one because this is something I was missing in the beta. I personally play a lot with friends that are playing on PC with keyboard and mouse, and I'm someone who plays with a controller on PC. So for me, it's really useful to see if I'm playing against controller players or keyboard and mouse players. And now let's go on to controller. This is a really important one with a lot of settings you can play around with. I personally am someone who likes the lower sensitivities. I'm going to be trying out some higher sensitivities, but for now I really like 4, maybe 5 or 6, but I wouldn't go higher right now. I have my zoom sensitivities on 0.8. This just makes it that when I zoom in, my sensitivity goes a little bit lower and I can aim a little bit more precisely. The button layout is something I'm going to make another video about, so subscribe if you want to see that, but I'm going to go over it really quickly now. You can check out all the button layouts, but I am really liking bumper jumper tactical. If you're not using tactical, be sure to start using tactical. This changes your right stick to crouching, and that's a lot more useful than meleeing with your right stick. And bumper jumper tactical changes your left bumper to jumping, and this really helps you with jump shotting because you can jump and still aim at the same time. This is the reason a lot of people buy SCUF controllers, and those are pretty expensive, almost $200. But with just using this button layout, you can essentially just do the same. I have the controller vibration on disabled because I modded my Xbox controller and removed the rumble packs for the controller. I can tell you my Xbox controller is almost weightless. I haven't really played around with slowdown and strafing aim assist, but I would just leave it on enabled. This helps you a little bit with aiming. Then I would put armor behavior on apply all. They don't have to do every plate individually. Saves you a little bit of time. Also, if you're using a controller, on some controllers the sticks are not really calibrated right and they make you drift a little bit. On 0 and see if your character moves to one side or starts aiming to one side. And if that happens, put the threshold on a little bit higher. I definitely wouldn't use auto move forward, but I like using auto sprint. Definitely put sprint behavior on toggle. This means that you don't have to press your stick down the entire time when you want to run. Believe me, if you're pushing on your stick like 24 hours a day, that's gonna hurt your thumb. Sprint castles reload. I personally really like that. Sprint castles reload, put that on enable. This is gonna help you in a lot of gunfights. For example, if you start reloading and someone jumps in front of you, if you can't cancel your reload, you're just dead. And that's it all. If this video helped you a lot, be sure to subscribe because I'm gonna be uploading almost daily content because I'm so excited for this game. If you're also really excited for this game and you have some videos you want to see, be sure to let me know down in the comments. And maybe if you have some tips and tricks or settings for the game that you want me to try out, also definitely let me know in the comments and maybe I will shout you out in a video. YouTube will put up a video right now for you to watch, so definitely go check out that one and I will see you in that next video. Bye bye!